Okay, it's time to finally do some coding. We did a lot of talking in previous videos of getting the environment set up, and hopefully we got it there. Now we're going to do some actual code. Nothing real exciting, but we're going to do the basic stuff. This is going to be for COCO III HiRes Text screen. We'll be working with text screen stuff for quite a while to get through all the stuff. And we can write a lot of routines in that we can move forward to graphics later on. But for now, we're doing text screens. Okay, so let's get started here. And the first thing we're going to do, I'm going to run the basic program. I already have it loaded in, and this is really what we're going to do today, or start with, okay? Not very exciting. I get over here on the right screen. Okay, that was it. It printed some stuff on the screen, hello world, at the bottom, then it went to the top and printed hello world backwards. So let's take a look at that. Very simple basic program. Okay, set the RGB, width 40. We located it at column 7, row 17, said hello world. We located it farther up the screen and printed out hello world backwards. Very, very exciting stuff. I also had a machine language program that we're going to look at loaded in there, so I'm going to execute it. And you'll see it's the same thing. The only difference in them is the basic is in uppercase and the assembly language is in lowercase. So we'll run the other one again, uppercase. Not very, very exciting, I know at this point, but we gotta start somewhere. You know, like I said, I heard before from my mom and a lot of people, teachers, coaches, you gotta learn how to crawl before you can walk, and you gotta learn how to walk before you can run. So we're starting down there at the very, very bottom. If I can find the right screen here. There we go. I think that's the correct screen. I got so many screens going here. Okay, this is our assembly language program. I've put a lot of equates up the front of various routines we'll be using, not necessarily all of them in this program, but some I put in here. Okay, if you did your work and got your basic, color basic, this basic unraveled, you'll be able to look at inside of them listings and the different routines are in there. These ones I've come up with, and I've got lots and lots of them that I've used over the many, many years. So we'll be using some of them in here anyway. This is equate where they are and what they do. And here's our actual program. That's it. It's not very long. First thing we're going to do, just like the basic program did, we're going to set up our RGB palettes, go to 40 character screen. We're going to do our column, our row, locate the cursor, and print a message out, and then move the cursor and print another message out. That's it, right there, all in a nutshell. Okay, the only thing I guess we talk about on this screen here is this message 000 minus 1. Let's look at the messages down here. Here's our two messages. Message 00 is hello world, and message 01 is hello world backwards, okay? It says load X and message 00 minus 1. Okay, well, that could be confusing. Let's look at compiled version here. Here's message 1 compiled. It just starts right there. Well, when we go to this routine called jump, or we jump to this print line, one of the first things what that jump does is bump your input register, which is X, by 1. Okay, if we take a second here, I can get to the correct screen again. All right, get down here, B99C, I think was that jump. I'm just doing this to show you how you can use this unravel to find some of this stuff. I mean, it's not mandatory, but it's a good way to learn how to use. Oops, went too far. I think I'm lost. I forgot my numbers. B99C. Right there it is. And that's copy a string from X to the console out. Very first thing it does is go to B518. Right? This stuff jumps around, but if we go up here to B518, it loads up some initialized thing, and then when it gets down to our stuff, very first thing it is bumped by 1. That's all I was getting at. Is you can look in the Unraveled if you can find all this stuff in there. Enough for that. So that's why I have the -1 in there, because if you look at again at the compiled version down here, we pointed it right here at this particular byte, and the -1 puts us up at this byte here. So the first thing they're going to do is bump it by 1. Okay. The other message we didn't put that -1 in there, because I put a space, notice here, in front. So again, a lot of talk about stuff, just little things you can look at and learn, especially looking at the Unraveled. Right, now if we go back to our computer, okay, again, when we execute it, that's what it does. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, well, just the basic program. It's going to pretty much do the same thing. It's got a $8 key in there before it prints the next line. So let's just run it and see what it does. Okay, there's our hello world. It has a waiting for a key, and wow, it flips the colors on it and prints out the hello world backwards. And here's the assembly language version of that. Same thing, it's other than it's in lowercase again. Okay, so now we can look at that code. Pretty much the exact same code. Same thing, we added a couple variables here that BASIC uses so we can change the colors on the screen. Got some palette stuff. And all this stuff we're going to get very, very, very detailed coming up here. It's going to be very detailed about attributes and palettes. Very important to learn it. Okay, here's our code, same thing, 40 column screen. We're putting in this load register A with 00, which would in BASIC you'd be typing in attribute 0, 0. Okay, so we're going to store it in the variable that we put up here at FE08. Going to move our cursor, locate, and print our message the exact same way. Here we're going to get a routine here. It's the same thing as in BASIC doing the $8 equals in key. We're going to do a jump subroutine to get a character. Come back, and if the condition code, well, it's check it. You know, we'll get into that much later. Just trust me. Branch equal, again, it means that nobody pressed a key, and it will just keep looping there until somebody presses a key. When they press a key, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to set the new background color to black. We're going to change the palette. Like the command in BASIC would be palette 0, 0 is what it would actually be. So we're going to set that palette. We're going to put in palette 8, we're going to put 3F or white. Okay, 3F is 63 in your world. Okay, when some of the language world is 3F stored in palette 8. Again, now we'll do our locate and print the message. And all we've done is change the attributes and the palette registers. We're going to get into that very, very shortly here. So again, we'll look at basic program did basically the same thing as you can see there. Anyway, we'll move on with that. Okay, next thing we want to do is just maybe start talking about some of this palettes and attributes. Let's talk about palettes. 16 individual colors stored in memory at FFB0 to FFBF. And when we're working with text screens, we have a foreground and background color. Background is located, you can see they're at B0 through B7, the foreground B8 through BF. Okay, this is what it looks like in memory. You can see down there FFB0, see if I can get a little bit bigger. Okay, and here's our background colors, starting at FFB0, there's 8 of them, and starting at 8 is our foreground colors. That's when you start the system up and do an RGB. This is kind of what the palette options look like. This 12, when you boot the system up, that beautiful green screen you get, that's green is at 12. We'll talk about them later. 00 is black. That's the black letters on that green screen. If we wanted a white background, that'd be 3F, which would be down here. Again, we're going to talk about that very soon. Okay, the palette command in BASIC is the palette register and the code. I'm sure you've used that in BASIC if you played around with that. Okay, let's talk about the attributes. Each byte on the screen or each letter on the screen has an attribute, and that's the characteristics of that individual character. Foreground color, background color, it can blink or be underlined. The attribute command in BASIC is attribute, color 1 is foreground, color 2 is the background, blink, or underline. I don't know if you've played with them or not, but you should learn them, because if you're going to do anything with in a similar language with the text screen, you'll need to know that. Here's the basic command, attribute 3, 2, which would be a white foreground, a blue background, with the way the palette is set up when we booted the system and said RGB. Here's what that 1 byte looks like. Here's each one of the bits. First bit is for blink, next bit for underline, then we've got 3 of them for foreground and 3 of them for background. Okay, normal, it's 0 comes, it's all zeros. Use background palette 0, foreground palette 0, which was 0, 0. So here's we kind of looking a little bit in depth. Okay, that bit on, it would blink, that bit on, it would underline. These 3 bits here is the foreground palette number we want to use, and these 3 bits are the background palette we want to use. I know we're getting confusing here, but it's going to get more confusing. So just bear with me. Foreground and background, they use 0 to 7, or really what they use is 0 through, in binary is 7, which is 1, 1, 1. So our example, attribute 3, 2 would look something like this. The foreground would be, which in binary, that's 3 for the foreground. The background is 2, but in binary is 0, 1, 0. So I broke it apart here. So there'd be no blank, no underline, and we'd have 0, 1, 1 for our foreground color, and 0, 1, 0 for our background color. Shoved all together, this is what that 1 byte looks like. Okay, and if you look at it in memory, it's going to say 1A, okay, which gets you confused too, because it has nothing to do with this here. Our attribute byte is at FE08, so what we would do, we would load up A with the thing we just put together up here and store it in FE08, and therefore we would be having our white letters on a black background, or blue background, I'm sorry. Okay, next let's look at another program here. I'm going to run out of time on this. I don't want to go. too long. Let's switch screens again. Okay, this is the next program we're going to. This is the basic version of the program. Again, it's pretty much the same thing we did before. We located it, printed out a line, it's waiting for us to press a key. We press the key, it has changed the background color, it changed the attributes for that particular line. Red letters on a blue background, and waiting for us to press a key. We press a key, now we've got a black background with red letters. We press it again, and we're going to get a white on black flashing and underlined. Put in the assembly language version of that. And we'll execute that. And you can see we got the lowercase letters, but it's the same results. Again, just press the space bar, we get the same thing. So let's take a look at that program. Pretty much the same stuff is in here. I might have added a few more equates to the palettes and that. We're going to do pretty much the same thing. We'll walk down through here pretty quick, I hope. This is all the same, and here's our normal attribute, as we said before, it's 0, 0. So we just load that with 0, 0 and store that, and that means our palette is the green with the black letters. Locate, printer message, wait for a key. Now here's where we're going to start doing some stuff. Okay, let's move this over a little bit. We're going to change the background color for palette 0, or in basic world, palette 0, 0. So we're going to load that up and store that in the palette 0. New background color blue, okay, which is palette 5. I'm sorry, yes, 5 and the color is 9. Foreground the same way, white in palette 8 and red in the palette 14. Okay, now palette 14, if you think about it, is it really foreground palette 6. Okay, I know it's confusing, and you'll see later when I get another description after. I tried to figure out which way I could explain this, but we'll get to it hopefully in the next segment, and will be much easier. All right, here's what we're doing here. I split this again so you can tell what we're doing. Okay, we're going to change our attribute to 6, 5. Okay, which is going to have our, I believe, our blue background. Okay. Trying to get the highlight on that if I can, okay, which is 3. I'm sorry, I'm 1 off. Okay, is 6, and our background is 5. Okay, very hard to see. Again, this is going to get much easier. I know you don't have enough fingers and brain cells to keep track of all this stuff right now. You're going to look at this later because the code will be supplied with this. Just like again, we're going to change our attribute again and print out another line. Same thing here. We're going to go back to black and white, and we're going to do a blank and underline, put that in there, and print out our last line. Okay. Again, it's confusing, but we will get there pretty soon. Again, oh, too many screens. Let's see, after the assembly language program waits, changes them again. I don't know how long I've been talking, but probably too long, but I think I'm going to cut this off and start another one because the next segment is going to take, I think, quite a while to get everything we want to talk about. We are going to go into all kinds of stuff. Okay, so I'm going to cut this off and start up another another video. So we'll be back.